Thank you, everybody, for coming to the College Football Betting with Aaron Torres YouTube channel. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of the screen. Go ahead, click that subscribe button. It helps our channel grow. It helps our audience grow. I appreciate it more than you know as we're talking college football on this channel year round. Appreciate your support. Click that subscribe button. The big one. Number one, hosting number three. You've probably heard by now, Texas at Ohio State. Ohio State, a 1.5-point favorite in the Circa Sportsbook, over under set at 47.5. And again, by now, you know what the storylines are coming in. Ohio State, the defending champ. Texas, the number one team in the country. We have the debut of a Manning. That is right, Arch Manning making, I guess it's not technically his debut, but first time as a full-time starter. So many storylines, Jeremiah Smith, Caleb Downs. But you know what the storyline to me that I just feel like isn't being talked about enough? And I know if you're an Ohio State or Texas fan and you've been listening to content for 9 months, you'll feel otherwise. I don't think we're talking enough about the fact these two just met, 8 months ago in the college football playoff semifinals. Texas, I thought, played Ohio State as tough as anybody in that playoff last year. I don't want to diminish what that Ohio State team did, but that strip score sealed the game. If it goes another direction, are we talking about Texas maybe as the defending national champion going into Ohio State? We will never know, but what I do know is this. As exciting as that game was last year, there are a lot of new faces, right? And so, listen, first of all, I think we all know, whether it's Texas, Ohio State, there's a few other programs, Georgia, Bama, Notre Dame. Even if they're new faces, it doesn't mean that the guys can't play, right? You know that. If you follow recruiting, Texas, the number one recruiting class last year, Ohio State not far behind. And so just because you don't know the names doesn't mean that they don't have dudes lined up ready to go. It is jarring, though, how much is gone from last year. Will Howard, Quinshawn Judkins, Travion Henderson, Emeka Ibuka, JT Tuimoloau, on and on, Jack Sawyer, on and on down the list from the Ohio State side, from the Texas side. Again, Jahdae Barron, Quinn Ewers, Matthew Golden, Kelvin Banks, so many new names. So in a situation like this, what I always like to ask myself is, okay, that's what's gone. What do we know about these two teams? As far as what we know, I think from the Texas side, I'll say this. There is so much talk about Arch Manning. I don't think people realize just how good some of those dudes on the Texas defense is. And the one thing I know about Texas, the one thing I know about the Longhorns coming into this season, all the talk's going to be Arch Manning. All of the confidence that I have in this team comes on that defensive side of the ball. Because, yes, they lost dudes. They also got dudes coming back. I don't think people realize how good guys like Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons were a season ago. Anthony Hill, 113 tackles, 16.5 TFLs, 8 sacks. Those sound like made-up numbers. I know Texas played 16 games. I don't care. That is patently absurd. You know what else is absurd? Colin Simmons as a true freshman, 14 TFLs, 9 sacks. It's funny, with a guy like, say, Jeremiah Smith, we always do where would Jeremiah Smith be drafted if he was eligible in this year's draft? I feel like we could do the same with Colin Simmons. If Colin Simmons was available in last year's draft, I think he's going top 5. Anthony Hill is a stud. Trey Moore is a stud. Michael Taffy's. There's so many guys on this Texas defense. And I feel like of the 4 units, Ohio State offense and defense, Texas offense, defense, the 4 of the 4, the one that I have the most confidence in is the Texas defense. As far as Ohio State is concerned, what do we know? Well, what we do know is pretty straightforward. They got the best offensive player in college football, the best defensive player in college football. You know that. Jeremiah Smith. I mean, listen, every hyperbolic thing you could say about Jeremiah Smith, I think is accurate. 15 touchdowns as a true freshman. Again, I understand that they played 17 games a year ago, but I mean, that is just patently absurd. 76 catches, 1,300 yards, whatever it ended up being. And then Caleb Downs. I mean, listen, the stat that still blows me away with Caleb Downs is the fact that this was a guy who led 2 seasons ago when he was with Alabama. First true freshman in program history to lead them in total tackles. Obviously, it translated last year very nicely. So I bring it up because that's what we know, right? We know Texas defense is elite. We know that Ohio State has elite talent at individual positions. And by the way, again, Ohio State has plenty of talent in other places as well. Let's get into what we don't know, though, because to me, that's where it gets interesting. And I think to me, the biggest story coming into this game that I think now that we're in game week, people are starting to talk about, I wonder and I worry a little bit about the Ohio State play callers, okay? Because the one question that I don't have question about talent. And by the way, I don't have question about the individuals that are going to be calling plays, but I do think it's worth noting. At Texas, Steve Sarkisian back calling plays, running the offense, the defensive staff back largely intact. So even when you have new players, you have the same voice, the same system, the same cadence, the same play, the same everything. And remember, Arch Manning has obviously been working with a lot of these guys on scout teams, second team, played with some of them a year ago. Where at Ohio State, it's all brand new, not only from the player perspective, but from the coaching perspective as well. On the offensive side of the ball, listen, I know Chip Kelly was at times an easy punching bag. The way his head coaching career ended at UCLA, kind of with a fizzle, leaves to be the play caller at Ohio State. But put aside the Michigan game last year, he was kind of awesome, and he was kind of exactly what Ohio State needed. The voice, the person that took the pressure off of Ryan Day. And I guess I just wonder, how does Brian Hartline transition into that? Because it's easy to forget that, again, it's just easy to forget Brian Hartline was the play caller 2 years ago. This is the thing that kind of blows me away, and it's kind of insane to me how sometimes college football fans just forget stuff. But Brian Hartline 2 years ago was the Ohio State play caller. Middle of the pack year, that was the year they lost to Michigan for the third time. Remember, Ryan Day had relinquished play calling duties. Brian Hartline was just okay, and that was why they went out and got Chip Kelly. Felt like they needed a more established play caller. So now he's coming back to call plays on offense. The good news is you have Jeremiah Smith. The good news is you have plenty of talent, but I'm just curious, when the bullets are flying, how does it actually work out? How does it look? How does it feel when he's in charge of this offense? And then from the defensive side, listen, I'm not ready to give up on Matt Patricia. I think there's a lot of negativity around Matt Patricia. He was kind of the hot shot defensive guy under Belichick, goes to the Detroit Lions. It doesn't work out, comes back. The Patriots are kind of a mess. But I do think there is something to the fact that, when you look at Matt Patricia, you sit there and say, okay, even if he's still an elite play caller, I don't know if he is. I'm just saying, let's just work under the assumption that he knows what the heck he's doing and that he's still really good at what he does. And by the way, for people who are new to this show, I'm not the guy that criticizes play calling. The worst football coach in America knows more than I do. Okay. But what we have to realize and understand is that there is so much new at Ohio State, and there is so much new for Matt Patricia. It's not just an entirely new roster. It's not just guys that are basically being asked to do things that they've never been asked to do before. It's also that Matt Patricia is now doing it at a different level with different schedule, different, teaching. And I just go back to a lot of these guys that have come from the NFL with little to no college experience. There is an adjustment when we're talking about a situation where you have limited practice time, where you have limited availability with the players. This isn't the NFL where you get, 18 hours a day to work on installs and preseason camp and things like that. It's much more structured. It's much more. And even a guy I'll just give you an example. Wink Martindale last year came from the NFL, was the Michigan defensive coordinator. And if you remember, he even admitted as the season went on, I tried to put in too much too soon. And so this is all a long-winded way of me saying, as we get to my official pick for this game, I do like Texas plus 1.5. I do like Texas to win. That is my official pick. Texas, a 1.5 point underdog in the Circus Sportsbook. I'm taking Texas to win outright, okay? And to me, again, first of all, I think the margins are very thin. I just want to put that out there. I don't think this is 30-3 Texas. And I'm not going to do the whole, Ohio State lost everybody, because guess what? The dudes that didn't play for Ohio State last year are better than pretty much any roster in college football, except for maybe 2 or 3 of them across the country. But the counter to that is you just think about all that's new. Brian Hartline back in a play calling situation. But I think more importantly, that Matt Patricia stat, the Matt Patricia fact that he's coming down to the college level. And now, not only is all of this new, but you're going against arguably the best play caller in all of college football and Steve Sarkisian. And I just keep coming back to, again, all of the focus is on Arch Manning. But what do we know? What do we understand? What we know and what we understand, Steve Sarkisian, he has been working with Arch Manning for 2+ years now. Arch Manning has been working with these wide receivers for 2+ years now. And I know that Julian Sayin was in the system last year, but it just feels a little bit different at Texas. Arch does have a few starts under his belt. Listen, I think the place is going to be crazy, but I just think the fact that you have Sark going up against a new defensive coordinator, new level of college football with almost an entirely new defense, that feels like big advantage to me to Texas. So listen, if these two teams were playing, in December, maybe I'd feel differently. But Julian Sayin, his first career start, I know he's got Jeremiah Smith. By the way, I hope at the very least, if things go sideways, just default to throwing the ball to number 4, okay? But I do like Texas plus 1.5. That is my official bet in the Circus Sportsbook.